Our news is brought to you by Aliv.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight in Our News, a $1.9 million contract signed for Marco's Alert. Finance officials optimistic about the economy, plus unemployment assistance to end in September. Welcome to Our News, and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joachim. Government officials have signed a $1.9 million contract for the Marco Alert system, which was named in honor of 11-year-old Marco Archer, who disappeared and was killed nearly 10 years ago. Jared Higgs has a story.
He actually would have been 21.
Tancia Humes admits that today's signing brings back difficult memories.
This right now just puts you right back to that place.
It's been almost a decade since the disappearance and murder of her brother, 11-year-old Marco Archer, shocked the nation. Today, officials signed a contract bearing his name, the Marco Alert, a system of broadcasting emergency messages countrywide.
It completes our Marco's Alert promises to the people of this nation.
Government signed a $1.9 million contract with Multimedia Technologies Limited for the system, which will allow the company to send messages to mobile users on BTC and Aliv cellular networks. The messages won't be limited to child abductions and will include weather and other police alerts. 2 years ago, government signed another contract with the same company for $2.7 million for 4 billboards that broadcast messages in high visibility areas. The company's CEO, Ralph Walker, defended the system from criticism that it is no different than NEMA sending out message alerts like it did last week.
If the minister wanted to send an alert in this immediate area, if I was connected to the platform, I would draw what is a geofence, right? So I'll draw a circle just around this area on something similar to Google Maps. And I'd say, look, send the alerts in this area.
Back in 2011, when Archer disappeared, his family complained that police didn't move fast enough when trying to find him. While in opposition, Dr. Bernard Nottage promised an alert system in Archer's name. Dame said the media played a big part in keeping government accountable to the promise. Archer's family expressed gratitude.
I could smile, and we can be grateful, to see that something good came out of it.
Reporting for Our News, I am Jared Higgs.
Well, despite massive borrowing and a widening deficit due to Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic, Ministry of Finance officials insisted today that the country is well on its way to economic recovery. Here's Jasmine Brown.
Those officials expressed optimism about the Bahamas' ability to get out of an economic slump. However, they also admitted that we're not quite out of the woods yet. The economy is expected to grow by 4.2% over the next fiscal year, but the fiscal deficit is projected to come in at around $1 billion, as revenue intake is expected to remain sluggish and expenditure is being ramped up.
Yes, it is reason for caution and concern, but it isn't reason for alarm. It would be reason for alarm if these were structural and long-term. So going into the next year and the year after that, the deficits will come down.
The Prime Minister tabled a resolution in the House of Assembly on Wednesday revealing his administration's plan to borrow $871.6 million in the 2021-2022 fiscal year. In all, the government projects to take in $1.8 billion in proceeds from borrowing in the coming fiscal year. The Minister administration has repeatedly cited its response to Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic as catalysts for the climbing debt.
Because you have an extraordinary crisis, it has required our government and other governments to have to run up a significant deficit in order to be able to meet the social services requirements and keep the economy going through a severe crisis. Yes, it has meant that for the this current fiscal year, which ends July, and the current one, there is a substantial ramp up in the deficits. The way that is sustained, though, is through a plan.
State Minister for Finance Kwesi Thompson explained that the plan consists of many factors, including a successful vaccination program. However, when our news team pointed out the fact that there is still vaccine hesitancy and the Bahamas still does not have enough doses to vaccinate enough residents to establish herd immunity, Thompson admitted there are challenges.
That's not the only track that we are taking when it comes to the economy. We also are looking at how we use those targeted tax breaks to accelerate our local businesses, to accelerate the local economy, to accelerate those different industries.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Thanks, Jasmine. The government's unemployment assistance program will end in September, according to Minister of State for Finance Kwesi Thompson, who said the focus will shift to encouraging private sector employment in the upcoming budget.
It really was designed to be maybe a 3 or 4 month measure, but unfortunately, as a result, the pandemic kept going. It is still continuing, and we've had to extend it well over 12 months. We've had to extend it. We anticipate that up until September, that we will continue those existing unemployment benefits.
The Unemployment Assistance Program provides additional support for individuals who have already received the legal limit of 13 weeks of the unemployment benefit from the National Insurance Board. Acting Financial Secretary Marlon Johnson says the intention is for workers still unemployed by September to receive assistance from the Department of Social Services.
Social services have seen a bump up in their budget because as persons, if come September, those persons still are still unemployed. The plan is to transition them off to a social services program. And so the social services would have got a bump up of around $20 million specifically, so that will allow persons who leave that unemployment program after September the social services who will still require some support to enter into that program.
A reduction in Supreme Court justices coupled with an increased workload has prompted the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to push for the appointments of judicial officers. The JLSC said in a statement it has resolved to advise the Governor General to make the following appointments as justices of the Supreme Court: Juanita Lewis-Johnson, Janine Weish-Gomez, and Andrew Forbes, effective May 31st. Neil Brathwaite as of June 14th, and Camille Darville-Gomez, effective August 3rd. The commission said the retirement of 2 magistrates in 2020, the resignation of a magistrate on New Providence, and the elevation of 2 magistrates to the Supreme Court have also created an urgent need to appoint new magistrates, namely Algernon Allen Jr., Kendra Kelly, Shaka Serval, and Yan Marie Darville Miller as of June 14th, and Simone Bowe in the Northern Region as of July 5th. In other news, a 2-year-old girl is on the road to recovery more than a month after she was shot in the head during an incident that left her father and 5 other men dead. Jared Higgs has her story.
Family members marvel in the background as 2-year-old Delaney Smith sings with joy.
Don't sing that for before. Negative.
Just a month before this video was taken, the toddler survived a gunshot to the head.
She's what we consider a walk-in miracle. That's all I can say.
Delaney's mother, Alexandria Johnson, is emotional as she describes her daughter's recovery. Bullet fragments in her brain mean she has to travel abroad for treatment. There was also concern about swelling, but doctors have addressed that too. Despite a traumatic injury, the 2-year-old has been active.
She's a typical boss baby, so it's kind of hard. You know, she has an older brother, so 2 older brothers, I should say, and she wants to be right along with what they're doing.
Delaney and 7 others were shot on April 15th when gunmen ambushed the vehicle they were traveling in on Jerome Avenue. Delaney's father, Delano Smith, and 5 other men were killed in the incident. Smith's 19-year-old girlfriend was also shot and hospitalized. Since the 2-year-old returned home, Johnson says she's been asking for her dad.
Every day he made it his business to come here to see her, and he took her for ice cream every day. And that's what that trip was. That was an ice cream trip.
Johnson says the support of family and friends has been crucial, especially with Delaney set to get evaluated by doctors. Losing the father of her daughter was difficult, and with no suspects in custody, she admits that it's been an aggravating situation.
I'm frustrated because he didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve that. Neither the other lady. Nobody deserved what they went through. And I really need justice to be served.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
More news on the way, but first, Greg Thompson is in studio with the first look at weather.
Thanks, Kyle, and a happy Thursday evening, everybody. Another nice evening around the islands tonight. Outside our studios, temperatures are in the mid to upper 70s. 78 is our current temperature outside our studios. Passing clouds, we call them few. Most of those are high-level clouds moving across the islands. East winds, very light, 4 knots, and it feels like temperature also in the mid to upper 70s. Satellite view, another beautiful day around the islands. Lots of sunshine across most of the chain, exception being the northwest Bahamas. We have some low-level clouds moving in from the east and some high-level clouds moving in from the west. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
All right, thanks, Greg. Still to come, which government agencies saw budget increases? And remembering Sir Charles Carter. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
"49 government ministries and departments received increases in the new budget as recurrent expenditure jumped by $270 million to an estimated $2.83 billion. Berthany McDermott has the breakdown.
Nearly every government agency saw an increase, but topping the list is the Ministry of Public Services and National Insurance, which saw a $42.8 million increase, going from $263 million to $306 million. The Ministry of Tourism and Aviation will see its budget allocation increase by $34.5 million to over $140 million.
There's $37 million of expenses that are associated with running that health visa. But what you don't see is the revenue associated with that, which is included in the Ministry of Finance. So there's $40 million coming in from the health visa, $37 million going out for the cost of that health visa. And then you'll see that there are substantial increases for aviation. So there's a lot of financial support the Treasury has to provide to Bahamas Air, Nassau Flight Services, Airport Authority.
The IGLA estimates that by year's end, some $70 million will be needed to subsidize Bahamas Air.
All aviation-related authorities are going to need additional funding because they are so reliant on passengers. So if you don't get the passengers who pay fees, then their costs are generally the same, but their revenue is significantly impacted.
Also seeing an increase is the Department of Social Services, which will get an additional $21.1 million, while the Ministry of National Security's budget will increase by $4.7 million to $12 million. When pressed on how money from this budget will be distributed in his ministry, Minister responsible Marvin Dame said the money will go to agencies like the Royal Bahamas Police Force, Defense Force, and the Department of Corrections.
If you don't have a safe and secure environment, then you're going to have challenges in growing your economy. So this is very, very important for us.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
It was a somber time of reflection as PLP leaders shared fond memories of the late Sir Charles Carter during a memorial held in his honor at party headquarters today. Gillian Gray reports.
There was singing and celebration at the memorial of the late Sir Edward Charles Carter as family and friends gathered to pay tribute to the former veteran journalist and parliamentarian's life and legacy.
Good night. There's a mansion in heaven.
Sir Charles was elected to the House of Assembly in 1982 under the Pinling administration and was for more than 10 years a noted radio announcer and talk show host. Former Prime Minister Perry Christie described Sir Charles as a people's person who made politics fun.
He had this incredible relationship with those people who were his campaign workers. They were part of his family. And Lady Muriel knows that they would be in our house just as much as her children. He brought something special to those people, but I want to leave this with the young aspirants. Charles Carter distinguished himself for his honesty. He brought integrity with him, and he left it, and carried it with him. He was that kind of person.
At the end of his political career, the former MP opened radio station Island FM 102.9, whose main objective was to promote and uplift Bahamian artists. Christie added that Sir Charles was one of the greatest cultural contributors in the country.
I don't know how Charles Carter, Augusta Street Charles Carter, could ever be compensated by this country for the work he has done.
A defender of every Bahamian who continued the rich legacy of the Bahamas is how PLP leader Philip Davis described the former cabinet minister.
He was a principal driver in the cultural revolution of the Bahamas. But for all his earthly accomplishments, I submit to his family, friends, and all those who knew and loved him, that the meaning of life dwells within the intangible and incorruptible attributes. Time spent together.
Carter is survived by his wife, 2 sons, and several grandchildren. Reporting for our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
Still to come, Aliv continues its investment in education. Plus, the NBA playoffs resume with DeAndre Ayton and King James tonight. Stay tuned.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Telecoms company Aliv continuing to invest in education by donating $7,500 to the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute. BTVI President Robert Robertson says the support Aliv has given the institution over the years is priceless.
This year, in a few weeks, we're graduating 150 high school students, dual enrollment students from BTVI, who are really the cream of the crop in a program that gives them 15 certificates, industry-recognized certificates. I know from talking to some of them that many of them already are either coming to Aliv or aspiring to be with Aliv. So it gives you an opportunity to have Bahamian qualified employees in key positions.
BTVI currently has 6,000 students, many of whom are studying IT. Aliv has donated $10,000 to BTVI every year for commencement exercises.
Opportunities there. So as these kids and these children begin to expand their minds in terms of understanding about the opportunities that are available to them, it's really significant. And for us, I mean, we relish that role that we play in being able to provide an avenue for them to be able to continue their careers, build their professional lives as well.
And in sports, the Jeff Rogers basketball camp set to return this summer. Marcellus Hall has more.
All right, thanks, Kyle. Welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Tonight, DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns back on the court as they try to continue their quest through the NBA playoffs. They'll play Game 3 in their best-of-7 against the LA Lakers. Meanwhile, speaking of basketball, well, it's summertime fast approaching, and guess what? The basketball camps will be hopefully getting back underway, which means our kids will have something to do. The Jeff Rogers basketball camp, which has been around for a long time, took last summer off. Now looking to move forward, as we hear from camp director and founder Jeff Rogers.
Yes, we've already made a lot of preparation. We have so many NBA players want to come down this summer. You know, like they're anxious for it. And so fortunately for me, they calling me. You know, so yes, I'm waiting to get some information from the Ministry of Health. So they can give me the protocol or give me the green light on how we're going to be able to do the camp. I know the camp is most of the camp is going to be outdoor, set up with tents and have all of the stuff in place which you're going to need in order to make sure that everything is safe. So I'm excited about that. So right now the camp is on for the full month of July. and also to do some other camps in other places.
And there it is, your check on sports for you here on this Thursday. Don't forget to check out the Locker Room tomorrow with another great edition coming your way on RTV. Meanwhile, I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Kyle.
Our thanks, Marcellus. CBL lending a hand to Potter's Key Dock vendors. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
It's almost the weekend, and Greg is back in the Weather Center with your extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. In our second look at weather, we take a look at our satellite view around the region. High pressure remains in charge of the weather, generating some very nice sunny skies. The winds are falling off, so good beaching and boating conditions expected for the next couple of days and into the weekend before we see some returning moisture by early next week, so we could see some showers by then. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east to southeast, 10 to 15 knots, falling light and variable at times, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, your winds will be northeast to east at 15 knots, seas running 3 to 5. High tide will be at 9:37 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. That's a look at our weather. Have a great night, everybody. Kyle?
More than a month after their stalls on Potter's Key Dock were destroyed by fire, 8 vendors got some much-needed assistance from Commonwealth Brewery Limited today. The company donating $16,000 to assist with getting business owners back on their feet, with each receiving $2,000.
We can anticipate that operating a business requires significant overhead and inventory. So, we have made a further commitment that once they are ready to reopen, we will provide them with a collective total of $5,000 in products to assist them with getting their business off the ground and generating revenue.
Well, vendors expressed gratitude to CBL for its assistance.
On behalf of the Potter's Key Dock vendors, we appreciate you so much. Thank you. And God bless.
Yes, we really thank Brian's House for coming in a great way to assist us. The 8 vendors here today. And I'm truly glad that Brian's House is on board with us and we on board with Brian's House.
Well, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. We will see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a good evening, Bahamas.